Success, that shining word that so many chase and so few truly understand. The world speaks of it as if it were a glittering trophy waiting at the finish line. But in truth, it is not a destination at all. It is a journey of the soul. It is not measured by the applause of the crowd, the number of coins in the coffer, or the stature of one's achievements, but by the quiet alignment of one's heart with what is right, what is good, and what is true. Success, in its highest form, is faithfulness to duty, to integrity, to conscience. The mark of a truly successful person is not the grandeur of their name, but the purity of their purpose. One may labor in obscurity, unseen and unsung, yet if they have done what is right in the sight of their own conscience, they have achieved something far greater than the applause of the world. For worldly praise fades like morning mist, but the joy of a faithful heart endures like the sun. Success is not in doing great things, but in doing small things greatly, with honesty, with care, and with love. There is a deception that creeps into the human heart. The belief that success is found in the abundance of possessions or the height of one's position. But the soul that seeks only to possess will never find peace. The true measure of life is not what one holds, but what one gives. To live meaningfully is to invest oneself in others, to lift burdens, to sow light where there is darkness. Those who chase wealth and applause may appear to rise high, but they often stand on fragile ground, for their worth depends upon the eyes of others. Yet the one who stands rooted in truth, who measures life by the good they do, stands unshaken. Every man and woman must face moments when the path is unclear, when failure looms large and weariness presses hard. But it is in these very moments that success is being forged. Gold is refined only in the fire, and so is the human spirit. The trials we dread often become the tools that shape our greatness. When one endures with faith, when one keeps moving forward though the night is long, that perseverance itself becomes the victory. Success is not the absence of struggle, but the strength to rise after every fall. Humility is the crown of all true achievement. It is the quiet acknowledgement that all gifts, all wisdom, all strength come from something greater than ourselves. The humble heart does not boast in its success, for it knows that its victories are shared, with grace, with effort, with unseen helpers along the way. Pride demands recognition. Humility gives thanks. The proud seek to be known, the humble seek to know. And in that seeking, they find what pride never will, peace. In a world that glorifies fame, it is easy to forget that the most successful lives are often those never spoken of in history books. A mother raising her children with love, a teacher shaping young minds with patience, a worker who toils with integrity. These are the silent heroes who carry the weight of the world's goodness. They may never wear medals or stand before crowds, but their legacy endures in the lives they touch. True success is not about being celebrated by the world, but about contributing something of worth to it. Success, then, is not a ladder to climb, but a path to walk, a path that leads us closer to our higher selves. It is not found in what we acquire, but in who we become. The greatest victories are those won over selfishness, over fear, over doubt. To conquer the heart is to conquer all. And when one lives with a sense of purpose beyond themselves, when one's days are spent in service, in learning, in love, then life itself becomes a masterpiece of success. In the end, all worldly achievements will pass, wealth will decay, titles will be forgotten, and applause will fade into silence. But what endures is the character one builds, the kindness one sows, and the truth one lives. That is success. The kind that cannot be taken, the kind that echoes in eternity. Success is not the pursuit of glory, nor is it the applause of men echoing through empty halls. It is the quiet and steady faithfulness of a soul devoted to what is right. to be faithful to one's calling, to live each day with integrity and sincerity. That is the essence of genuine success. There is something profoundly noble about remaining true to one's duty, even when the world offers no reward, when the audience is absent, and when recognition seems a faraway dream. The greatness of a life does not depend upon the noise it creates, but upon the truth it upholds. Success in its purest form is a matter of faithfulness rather than fame, of character rather than acclaim. To live faithfully is to hold fast to one's principles when compromise appears easier. It is to choose the path of honesty when deceit promises a quicker gain, to stand firm in virtue when the world bends in convenience. The person who does their work with excellence, even when no one sees them, is far more successful than the one who performs only for praise. The measure of true success is found in the secret acts of goodness, the unseen diligence, the quiet perseverance, the uncelebrated kindness. These are the marks of a soul that understands that success is not about being admired, but about being authentic. The world, however, often confuses visibility with value. It teaches that to be seen is to be significant, that success must be large enough for others to notice. But the unseen labor of the faithful heart carries a deeper worth. A person may hold no position of power, may dwell in simplicity, and yet live a life that pleases the highest calling of all, to do right simply because it is right. Fame fades, but faithfulness endures. Applause dies, but integrity remains. To live faithfully is to build something eternal within oneself, something that no loss can destroy. Faithfulness demands perseverance in seasons of obscurity. There will be moments when effort feels futile, when one's work seems to vanish into silence, when the fruits of labor are delayed beyond sight. Yet it is precisely in those times that success is being formed. The seed that lies hidden in the earth must endure the dark before it can break into bloom. So too must the human spirit endure seasons of invisibility before it shines with inner strength. True success is not in the outcome alone, but in the endurance that precedes it. It is not in the harvest, but in the sowing, not in being noticed, but in being steadfast. There is a quiet dignity in those who remain faithful when the world turns away. They carry within them a strength that neither praise nor criticism can shake. They do not measure their worth by comparison, but by conviction. The faithful person understands that success is not a competition, it is a calling. One may walk a path entirely unseen by others, and yet walk it with such integrity that heaven itself takes note. Faithfulness transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, for even the smallest act done with love becomes an offering of greatness. Many chase the fleeting lights of fame, believing that success lies in being known. Yet to be known by the world is not the same as being known for what is true. The one who lives with faithfulness to their purpose will often walk against the tide, misunderstood or unnoticed, yet anchored in peace. For they know that the approval of others is a fragile thing. It shifts with moods and seasons. But the approval of a clear conscience is eternal. Success built on faithfulness requires no witness, for it carries its own reward within the heart. Faithfulness also refines the soul through patience. It is the daily discipline of choosing right over easy, long-term virtue over short-term comfort. The faithful person does not give up when success seems distant. They continue because they are driven not by outcomes, but by principles. They understand that the truest work of life often goes unseen, and that the worth of a task is not measured by how quickly it is rewarded, but by how rightly it is done. This mindset liberates the heart from anxiety, for it teaches that one's duty is in effort, not in results. Success that comes from faithfulness is sustainable, because it is rooted in truth, not vanity. The fame that comes from public praise may dazzle for a moment, but often leaves emptiness behind. Faithfulness, on the other hand, builds inner contentment, a peace that does not depend on circumstance. It allows a person to rest easy at night, knowing they have done their best, even if no one applauds. Such peace is a treasure greater than gold, for it cannot be stolen by failure or diminished by criticism. The faithful heart stands firm because its purpose is not to impress, but to serve. To live faithfully is also to understand that success is relational. It is not simply about personal advancement, but about the good one brings to others. The faithful person uplifts those around them, in their family, in their community, in their work. Their reliability becomes a light in a world full of shifting shadows. To be faithful is to be trustworthy, to show up when promised, to fulfill one's word, to live so that others may depend on your integrity. In doing so, one leaves a legacy far greater than reputation, a legacy of example, of consistency, of quiet influence. Even in failure, the faithful heart finds success, for faithfulness is not about never falling, but about never ceasing to rise. When one has done their best, when they have remained true despite obstacles, they have already succeeded, regardless of outcome. The world may call it defeat, but heaven calls it victory. Faithfulness turns every setback into strength, every trial into testimony. It is not defined by circumstance, but by character, and that makes it indestructible. To be faithful, then, is to understand that life's greatest victories are often invisible. The true hero is not the one who stands in the spotlight, but the one who stands firm in the shadows, guided by conscience and grace. Faithfulness is the soul's highest form of success, because it aligns the heart with truth, not vanity, with endurance, not ease, with purpose, not pride. It is the quiet rhythm of goodness that continues even when no one listens. The steady heartbeat of a life well lived. Success does not begin on the outside, it begins within. Every great accomplishment that has ever graced this world was first born in the secret places of the human heart. The inner life, the world of thought, conviction, discipline, and desire, is the soil in which all true success takes root. Without inner transformation, outer triumphs are hollow echoes, beautiful perhaps, but empty of substance. A person may reach the highest mountain of fame or fortune, yet if the soul remains untouched by growth, the victory is but a shadow. Real success is the quiet work of shaping one's character, refining one's motives, and aligning one's will with what is noble and enduring. There is a dangerous illusion that success is something external, something to be gathered, displayed, or owned. Yet what good is it to conquer the world if one has lost mastery over the self? The heart that is divided, the mind that is restless, the spirit that hungers for approval, these cannot hold true success. Inner transformation gives a person stability amidst the shifting winds of life. When the foundation within is firm, no failure can break them, and no success can corrupt them. Outward prosperity without inward growth is like a house built upon sand, impressive from afar, but destined to crumble when the storm arrives. The journey toward inner transformation is not comfortable. It demands honesty, humility, and a willingness to face one's flaws. It asks a person to confront the parts of themselves they would rather hide, their pride, fear, resentment, and doubt, and to bring them into the light of truth. This process may not be glamorous, but it is the very essence of greatness. Success, when built upon inner transformation, is not an escape from weakness, but the redemption of it. The heart that learns to turn pain into wisdom, failure into strength, and loss into compassion is the heart that truly succeeds. Every outward achievement begins as an inward decision, a thought, a conviction, a belief that something greater is possible. The one who masters their inner world, who disciplines their mind and trains their emotions, becomes unstoppable. For such a person, success is not dependent upon circumstances but upon consistency. Even in adversity, they stand firm. Even in delay, they remain hopeful. The storms of life may shake them, but they do not break, because their victory is not built upon what changes, but upon what endures. The strength of character. Many strive for recognition, believing that the validation of others will fill the emptiness within. Yet the truth is that external applause cannot heal an unquiet soul. The deepest satisfaction comes not from what others think of us, but from the quiet assurance that we have become who we were meant to be. Inner transformation replaces the hunger for approval with the peace of authenticity. It teaches that the goal of life is not to appear successful, but to be whole. Outward triumph without inner harmony leads only to restlessness. But when the inner life is at peace, even the smallest victory feels abundant. The difference between outer triumph and inner transformation is like the difference between a mirror and a flame. The mirror reflects what others can see. The flame burns with its own light. Those who live only for appearances reflect the expectations of the world, changing shape with every passing trend. But those who have transformed within radiate a light that no darkness can extinguish. Their strength is not borrowed, it is born from within. They are not driven by competition, but by conviction. Success for them is not a performance, but a practice. The continual striving to become better, kinder, and truer. Inner transformation also demands the courage to let go of false measures of success. It asks one to redefine greatness, not by wealth or fame, but by the quality of the soul. The one who cultivates patience instead of pride, compassion instead of criticism, and truth instead of pretense, has achieved a victory more lasting than any crown. The world may not celebrate such triumphs, but they are the ones that shape eternity. For what is the worth of power without humility, or achievement without virtue? Outer triumphs may fade, but inner transformation continues to grow, turning the ordinary life into a work of quiet magnificence. True success comes when one's outer actions reflect their inner convictions. When thought, word, and deed are in harmony, there is power, a kind of moral beauty that draws respect without demanding it. This harmony does not come by chance. It is the result of daily choices, of discipline practiced in solitude. The successful person is not one who never struggles, but one who never stops striving for alignment between what they believe and how they live. This unity of being is what gives life meaning and direction. Without it, even the most glittering achievements feel strangely hollow. The inner life is the seedbed of all creativity and resilience. When the mind is centered and the spirit is clear, obstacles become lessons, and challenges become invitations to grow. Those who have cultivated inner strength see beyond the surface of events. They find purpose even in pain. They know that real transformation often comes not through comfort, but through conflict, not through ease, but through endurance. Outward triumphs are temporary, inner victories are eternal. The person who learns to govern their own heart has achieved something no power on earth can take away. There comes a moment in every life when the outer world grows silent, when success, reputation, and applause cannot answer the deeper questions of the soul. In that silence, the true measure of a person is revealed. Those who have cultivated inner transformation do not fear such moments, for they have built within themselves a sanctuary of peace. Their success does not depend on what they own or how others see them, but on who they have become in the process of living. For them, success is not the end of a journey, but the continual unfolding of a wiser, humbler, and more compassionate self. To pursue success without inner transformation is to chase the wind, but to transform within is to build a foundation for all that is lasting and true. The world may call the outer victories success, but the soul knows that real triumph lies in mastering oneself, in turning weakness into wisdom, ambition into purpose, and striving into peace. Such a person may or may not wear a crown, but they will always walk with dignity, for they have conquered the greatest kingdom of all, their own heart. Humility is the silent foundation upon which all true greatness stands. It is not the denial of one's worth, but the recognition of one's place in the vastness of life. To be humble is to understand that the gifts we possess, our talents, intellect, strength, or position, are not ornaments of pride, but instruments of service. The humble heart sees clearly, while the proud heart sees only itself. Humility opens the eyes to the truth that every achievement is a tapestry woven with countless unseen threads. The help of others, the mercy of circumstances, and the grace of something greater than oneself. The proud claim ownership over success, the humble give thanks for it. In doing so, they remain grounded even when life lifts them high. Humility does not mean weakness or self-deprecation. It is strength under control. It is the quiet confidence of one who knows their value without needing to prove it. The humble person is not easily shaken by criticism or inflated by praise, for their sense of worth is rooted in something deeper than opinion. They live not for comparison but for contribution. Pride measures itself against others and is never satisfied. Humility measures itself against purpose and finds peace. The proud chase recognition, fearing obscurity. The humble chase meaning, content to serve in silence if the work is good and right. Such a life, though unnoticed by many, carries an eternal weight of significance. The world often glorifies pride as ambition and humility as weakness. Yet history has shown that the truly enduring legacies belong to those who mastered humility. The proud rise quickly but fall swiftly, for their success depends on applause. The humble rise steadily, their steps firm, for their success depends on integrity. Pride builds a tower that touches the sky but forgets its foundation. Humility builds from the ground up, strong enough to withstand every storm. The humble person does not seek to be above others, but seeks to bring others up. Their greatness is not displayed in domination but in elevation, not in commanding followers, but in inspiring them to grow. Humility allows one to learn, and learning is the gateway to lasting success. The proud assume they already know, and thus stop growing, but the humble remain teachable, aware that wisdom is infinite and that even a child or an enemy may hold a lesson. They listen before speaking, seek understanding before judgment, and admit when they are wrong. This willingness to grow transforms failure into teacher, criticism into counsel, and struggle into strength. A humble heart remains soft enough to change and strong enough to endure. While pride blinds with illusion, humility illuminates the path to wisdom. There is a quiet beauty in humility that no arrogance can imitate. It does not shout, yet it speaks volumes. The humble person may not occupy the highest seat, yet their presence brings peace wherever they stand. Their words do not boast, yet they carry weight, because they are spoken from sincerity. Humility gives grace to success and dignity to failure. When one achieves something great and remains modest, that greatness multiplies. When one stumbles and admits fault, that humility redeems the fall. In this way, humility turns every circumstance into an opportunity for goodness, to give, to learn, to grow. Humility also protects the heart from the poison of pride that often follows success. Many begin their journey with noble intent, but lose their way once praised. They begin to believe that their success is entirely their own, forgetting the countless invisible supports that made it possible. The sacrifices of others, the timing of fortune, the quiet blessings of life itself. The humble never forget this. They understand that to be grateful is to stay grounded. They look upward not to boast of how far they've climbed, but to acknowledge the source of their strength. Gratitude and humility walk hand in hand together. They turn success into stewardship rather than possession. In relationships, humility is the thread that binds hearts together. It allows one to forgive quickly, to listen deeply, and to love without demand. Pride builds walls, humility builds bridges. When two people meet with humility, there is no contest, no defense, no need to win, only the desire to understand. In this way, humility becomes the strength that holds families, friendships, and communities together. It softens anger, dissolves envy, and invites compassion. Where humility dwells, harmony follows. Even in leadership, humility is the mark of true authority. The greatest leaders are those who see themselves not as masters, but as servants. Those who lift others higher, who take responsibility rather than seek credit. The proud command obedience, the humble inspire devotion. Pride isolates a leader from their people, humility unites them. The humble leader listens, learns, and leads by example. They understand that power is a trust, not a throne. When a leader serves with humility, their influence endures long after their title fades. For they have touched the hearts of others rather than merely directed their hands. Humility also grants freedom from the endless chase of comparison. The proud are tormented by others' success, but the humble rejoice in it. They see no competition in goodness, for they understand that one person's light does not dim another's. The humble are not concerned with being the best, but with being their best. They find joy in the progress of others, because they are not enslaved by ego. This freedom allows them to live authentically, without the heavy burden of pretense. They do not need to appear strong, for they are strong enough to be honest. They do not need to appear wise, for they are wise enough to keep learning. In humility lies resilience. The proud collapse under failure, because their identity is built on success. The humble rise again, because their identity is built on purpose. When defeat comes, they bow, learn, and continue. Their humility becomes a shield that deflects despair and a mirror that reflects truth. They do not seek comfort in illusion, but strength in understanding. To them, every loss carries a lesson, and every setback refines the soul. Thus, humility transforms life's trials into treasures and its burdens into blessings. To be humble is to live in harmony with reality, to know one's place, one's limits, and one's potential. It is to walk through life neither shrinking in false modesty nor striding in arrogance, but standing upright in gratitude. The humble understand that they are both small in the vastness of existence and significant in their ability to love, serve, and grow. This balance gives their life a rare serenity. Their humility does not diminish them, it completes them. And in that completion lies the quiet power that the world too often mistakes for meekness. The power to influence without force, to lead without pride, and to succeed without vanity. The true measure of success is not found in the abundance of possessions, but in the depth of purpose. A life built upon material wealth alone is like a mansion without light, grand in appearance yet hollow within. Possessions can bring comfort, but they cannot bring meaning. They can purchase pleasure, but not peace. The soul hungers for something far beyond what the hands can hold. Real success begins when one learns to live not for accumulation, but for contribution. When life ceases to be about what we gather and becomes about what we give, to live with purpose is to shift the focus from ownership to impact, from gain to growth, from having much to being much. The world often measures success in the currency of possessions, in wealth, status, or power. It glorifies those who collect, accumulate, and display. Yet these things are temporary, fragile, and ever fleeting. They are like sandcastles built by the shore, destined to fall when the tide of time comes in. The person who defines themselves by what they own lives in constant fear of loss. For every treasure that can be counted can also be taken. But the one who finds joy and purpose lives securely, for no circumstance can steal what is rooted within. Purpose transforms existence into fulfillment. It gives meaning to work, dignity to effort, and direction to ambition. Living for possessions is an endless pursuit, for desire knows no rest. The more one gathers, the more one wants. Yet purpose satisfies in a way no object ever can. It aligns the heart with something eternal, a sense of calling, a vision that transcends self-interest. When a person works with purpose, even the smallest task becomes noble, for it contributes to something greater than self. A simple act of kindness, a word of encouragement, a quiet sacrifice. These have more value than a lifetime of hoarded wealth. Possessions perish with time, but the fruits of purpose endure beyond it. The pursuit of purpose reshapes one's relationship with work. Instead of working merely to earn, one begins to work to serve. The same job that once felt tedious becomes meaningful when seen through the lens of purpose. A teacher who sees their work as shaping the minds of the future finds joy in every lesson. A craftsman who works with care, not just to profit, but to bring beauty or usefulness into the world, experiences a deeper form of satisfaction. Purpose elevates the ordinary into the extraordinary. It infuses labor with love and transforms routine into reverence. There is a quiet dignity in those who live for purpose rather than possessions. They may not always appear prosperous in the eyes of the world, yet they walk with a richness of spirit that no amount of gold can imitate. Their lives have weight, substance, and meaning. They invest in what cannot decay: relationships, compassion, truth, and legacy. Such people leave behind not just memories, but examples, not just footprints, but pathways. Their success cannot be measured by ledgers or trophies, for it is written in the hearts they have touched and the lives they have uplifted. When one lives for possessions, life becomes a competition. When one lives for purpose, it becomes a calling. Possession breeds envy, while purpose breeds gratitude. The heart driven by greed sees others as rivals. The heart guided by purpose sees them as companions on the same journey. Possession isolates. It walls the soul off with pride and fear. But purpose connects, binding people together through shared meaning. In giving, one finds abundance. In serving, one discovers strength. The paradox of life is that those who cling to possessions lose them, while those who let go for a greater purpose gain what cannot be lost. Purpose also gives direction in times of hardship. When storms come, possessions offer little comfort. They cannot heal the heart or restore the spirit. But purpose steadies the soul. It gives reason to endure. The one who lives with meaning can bear suffering without despair, because they see beyond the pain to the purpose it may serve. Even in loss, they find something to learn, something to give, something to build anew. Success, in this light, is not the absence of hardship, but the presence of purpose through it. It is the ability to keep walking, even when the path is steep, because the destination is worthy. The pursuit of purpose teaches humility. It reminds one that life is not about personal gain, but about the greater good. Possessions make one ask, "How much can I get?" But purpose asks, "How much can I give?" The two questions lead to very different lives. The first leads to exhaustion, the second to fulfillment. The person who lives for purpose knows that their time, their talents, and their influence are not to be guarded jealously, but shared generously. Such a life becomes a gift to others, and in giving, it receives something far greater. The quiet joy of knowing that one's existence has mattered. There is also a freedom that comes from living for purpose instead of possessions. The one who chases wealth is a slave to it. Their peace depends on its presence. The one who lives for purpose, however, is free from the tyranny of material fear. They can lose everything and yet remain rich, for their treasure lies in their spirit. This freedom allows them to take risks, to dream boldly, to love without condition. They are not bound by what they have, and so they are not afraid to give it away. Their happiness is not built upon having more, but upon being more. Purpose aligns life with eternity. It reminds the soul that possessions belong to time, but meaning belongs to forever. The houses we build, the wealth we gather, the titles we wear, all will pass. But the kindness we show, the truth we live, the love we give, these outlast the grave. To live for purpose is to plant seeds in a garden one may never see bloom, yet to know that it will bloom because of one's effort. That is true success, not in what is owned, but in what is offered, not in what is displayed, but in what is done. It is the kind of success that cannot be bought, only built through love, service, and the quiet courage to live for something greater than oneself. Struggle is not the enemy of success, it is its greatest teacher. Every meaningful triumph in life has been shaped by trial. Every strong soul has walked through fire before it learned to shine. The world often mistakes comfort for success, but it is in discomfort that greatness is born. Ease never made a spirit mighty, nor did comfort carve a legacy. It is the weight of challenge that strengthens character, and the endurance of difficulty that molds the heart into something unbreakable. Those who avoid struggle in search of an easy path often remain untested, while those who embrace hardship emerge with the quiet power of perseverance. Success is not the absence of pain, but the wisdom to use it as a tool for growth. Every struggle carries within it a hidden opportunity, a call to rise above what we once were. When life closes in with uncertainty, disappointment, or defeat, it is not there to destroy us, but to refine us. The fire that burns also purifies, removing what is false and leaving only what is true. The person who has never been challenged cannot know their full strength. The one who has never fallen cannot know the value of rising. Endurance through struggle does not merely test us. It transforms us. It stretches the limits of patience, deepens empathy, and awakens faith in what endures beyond the temporary sting of failure. Pain often introduces us to our true selves. It strips away pretense and pride, leaving the raw essence of who we are. In moments of hardship, we discover the boundaries of our resilience and the depth of our conviction. It is easy to appear virtuous when life is kind, but the authenticity of character is revealed only when the road is steep and the nights are long. Those who have endured suffering without surrender know a kind of peace that the untested can never touch. Their scars become symbols not of defeat but of victory, proof that they have walked through darkness and still chosen light. Endurance is not a passive waiting but an active courage, the determination to move forward when progress seems impossible. It is a strength of spirit that refuses to give up, even when the heart is weary and the path unclear. Many give up when they do not see results, forgetting that growth often occurs beneath the surface. Just as the seed breaks in darkness before it blooms, so too does the soul break in struggle before it blossoms into strength. Each difficulty faced with patience becomes a stepping stone toward wisdom. Endurance transforms suffering from a burden into a blessing, teaching that pain is not punishment but preparation. Struggle has a way of refining our perspective. When we suffer, the noise of superficial pursuits fades, and the essence of life becomes clearer. We begin to value not the fleeting pleasures that comfort brings, but the deeper joy that meaning provides. The one who endures learns to appreciate even the smallest blessings, a kind word, a moment of peace, a simple sunrise. Hardship teaches gratitude. It reveals that what truly matters cannot be bought or taken away. Those who have suffered and learned to rise again carry within them a wisdom that no book or fortune can bestow. They have learned the sacred art of perseverance, to stand firm, to hold hope, and to trust that even the darkest night prepares the dawn. The world often teaches that success means winning without struggle, yet every lasting success tells a different story. Every invention, discovery, or masterpiece that changed the world was born out of failure, persistence, and faith. It is not talent alone that shapes destiny, but the refusal to quit when the odds seem impossible. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. Likewise, the strongest souls are forged in the trials they survive. What appears as defeat to the world often becomes the foundation of a greater victory. Each setback endured with courage adds depth to one's spirit and resilience to one's purpose. There is also a hidden mercy in struggle. It humbles the heart. It reminds us of our dependence on something greater than ourselves, whether that be faith, love, or hope. Struggle softens pride and deepens compassion. Those who have suffered become gentler with others, more patient with the weak, and more forgiving of human frailty. They understand the quiet battles that others fight and offer kindness without judgment. In this way, endurance through struggle not only strengthens the self, but also expands the soul's capacity to love. Pain that is endured with grace does not harden the heart, it enlarges it. Endurance also builds faith, not blind belief, but the kind of trust that stands when all visible evidence has failed. When one continues to move forward despite uncertainty, that perseverance becomes an act of faith. It is the soul's declaration that there is purpose even in the storm, that every trial serves a design we may not yet understand. Such faith cannot be learned in comfort, it is born in adversity. It whispers in the heart, "Hold on, this too shall pass." And with every season of survival, that whisper becomes stronger, until endurance itself becomes a source of hope for others. There is a sacred rhythm to struggle and endurance. Life moves in cycles, rising and falling, breaking and rebuilding. Every fall teaches resilience, every rise reminds us of grace. Those who endure learn that pain is not permanent, that even the longest winter yields to spring. Endurance teaches that the value of life lies not in avoiding storms, but in learning how to dance in the rain. To endure is to affirm that even when life wounds us, it cannot destroy us. Through each hardship overcome, the soul learns to sing a deeper song, one composed not of ease, but of triumph through tears. Those who endure their struggles with patience and faith carry a light within them that shines even in the darkest places. They become examples of strength for others, living proof that pain does not define us. Perseverance does. Their stories inspire not because they avoided suffering, but because they overcame it. True success is not measured by how smoothly one's path unfolds, but by how steadfastly one walks when the road grows rough. The crown of success is not given to the swift or the strong, but to those who endure with unwavering courage. In this endurance lies the essence of greatness, a greatness not built on victory alone, but on the quiet heroism of never giving up, no matter how fierce the storm may be. The truest form of success is not found in applause, recognition, or worldly crowns, but in the quiet mastery of one's inner life. The measure of greatness is not how high one climbs, but how deeply one understands oneself, how faithfully one lives according to truth, and how courageously one maintains integrity when no one is watching. The world celebrates achievements that can be seen, yet the soul celebrates victories that are invisible. The overcoming of pride, the taming of selfishness, the triumph of humility over vanity. Success begins within, long before it is ever seen without. When a person learns to govern the storms of the heart, to conquer the restless ambitions that seek validation, they discover the peace that no external success can offer. The art of self-mastery is the foundation of all achievement. Before one can rule over circumstances, one must first rule over self, the impulses of envy, anger, fear, and greed. These are the true adversaries that wage war within the human heart. To master them is the beginning of wisdom, The person who disciplines their desires gains a strength that no wealth can purchase. They are not controlled by praise or wounded by criticism. Their purpose flows from conviction, not comparison. They walk steadily, not because the path is easy, but because their heart is anchored in truth. The one who commands themselves becomes unshakable, for they are no longer at the mercy of emotion or circumstance. Inner strength is not the loud confidence that boasts, but the calm certainty that endures. It does not need validation, for it draws power from alignment with values that are eternal. The person who has cultivated inner discipline can face failure without despair and success without arrogance. They understand that both triumph and defeat are temporary conditions, mere instruments shaping the soul toward maturity. True strength lies in constancy, in remaining faithful to what is right even when it brings loss, in standing firm when compromise promises an easier way. The victories of character are the only ones that last, for they are written not on monuments but on the fabric of the spirit. Integrity is the cornerstone of inner mastery. It is the harmony between word and deed, thought and action. It requires courage, for it often demands standing alone when others yield. Yet those who live with integrity discover an unshakable peace that the dishonest will never know. There is no success that can compensate for the loss of one's soul, no triumph worth the cost of truth. To live with integrity is to live in freedom, for deception enslaves the heart. The person who chooses honesty over convenience, virtue over vanity, builds a foundation that no storm can destroy. Such a life may not glitter in the eyes of the world, but it shines eternally in the light of conscience. Self-mastery also demands humility, the recognition that we are not the center of the universe, but participants in a greater story. Humility is not weakness, it is strength under control. It allows one to learn, to grow, to serve without seeking applause. The humble person does not need to proclaim their worth, for their actions speak it quietly. They do not seek to dominate others, but to uplift them. In humility lies the wisdom to listen, the grace to forgive, and the courage to admit one's faults. A humble heart sees clearly, because it is not clouded by pride. It finds contentment not in possessing everything, but in being thankful for what is already enough. Discipline is the daily expression of self-mastery. It is the art of doing what must be done, even when emotion resists. It is not about perfection, but persistence, the willingness to try again, to improve, to stay true to purpose even when enthusiasm fades. Discipline turns dreams into deeds. It transforms inspiration into endurance. The person who governs their habits shapes their destiny, for life is built not by grand gestures, but by small choices repeated faithfully. The disciplined soul does not wait for motivation. They create momentum through consistency. Each moment of restraint, each act of perseverance, builds invisible strength that later becomes visible success. The mind, too, requires mastery. Thoughts are the architects of life, and the undisciplined mind builds walls instead of wings. To master one's thoughts is to choose peace over anxiety, gratitude over resentment, and purpose over distraction. Many are defeated not by circumstances, but by the chaos of their own thinking. To cultivate calmness is to gain power. To direct thought is to direct life. The person who has learned to think with clarity, to focus on what uplifts rather than what drains, carries within them a fortress of stillness that no storm can breach. The pursuit of self-mastery is not a rejection of ambition, but a refinement of it. Instead of chasing the fleeting applause of men, one seeks the quiet approval of conscience. Instead of measuring success by comparison, one measures it by growth. The person who conquers themselves does not compete to prove worth, but contributes to express purpose. Their success becomes service, an offering of their best self to the world. Such success uplifts others because it springs from authenticity, not ego. It is the kind of greatness that multiplies goodness, the kind that endures when titles fade and monuments crumble. In mastering oneself, one discovers that freedom is not the ability to do whatever one wishes, but the strength to do what is right. Many live enslaved to desires, habits, and fears while calling it freedom. But the person who has learned restraint, who has learned to say no to temptation and yes to discipline, is truly free. Their choices are deliberate, their will is sovereign, and their life is guided by purpose rather than impulse. This freedom is not loud, but it is profound. It brings peace in confusion, strength in weakness, and joy in simplicity. Self-mastery is a lifelong journey, not a destination. It is cultivated through reflection, correction, and continual striving. Each day brings a new opportunity to conquer impatience, to choose kindness over anger, to act with integrity when compromise tempts. Every victory, no matter how small, builds the architecture of a noble soul. The one who persistently seeks mastery of self becomes a light for others. Not because they are perfect, but because they are steadfast in pursuit of what is true. And when the storms of life come, as they surely do, it is not wealth, fame, or fortune that sustains them, but the unyielding strength of a disciplined and virtuous heart. For the greatest success is not found in conquering the world, but in conquering oneself. And in that conquest, the soul finds both power and peace.